Alright, people, if you guys been watching those boxing channels on TV, you will notice, at least on YouTube, sorry, Ellie Seckback keeps on dropping in some great world champions. If you've been watching the WBC coverage that all these boxing channels been covering, Fight Hype, Ellie Seckback News, Seconds Out, etc., The Ring, etc., you will also see these former world greats. Now here, Mr. Suleiman is introducing Floyd Mayweather to Carlos Zare. Shout out to Ellie Seckback. I'm just dealing with your video here. This man here is Carlos Zarate. Alright? That's the same gentleman here. He was a tremendously legendary bantamweight, and he had some really legendary fights. And you guys can go check him out. In fact, Carlos Zarate, he went undefeated for a very, very long time. Very, very long time. He had 52 fights. He started his career back in 1970. For 8 years, he was undefeated. He was 52-0. I think I did a video on him when we were dealing with undefeated records. He was world champion in his 40th fight, and he was 52-0. He lost to the legendary Wilfredo Gomez, right? And then he re-won the championship, and then he lost to Lupe Pinto, who was another legend of the time. It was a very close decision. Okay, a legendary fighter. You guys heard me cover Carlos Zarate already, but I just wanted to show you via Ellie Seckback. Shout out to you, Ellie. I wanted to show you guys him at the present time. This is him. That's many, many years ago, and this is him in the present time. And Floyd Mayweather is greeting him at this point in time. Mr. Suleiman actually has, when you go on a tour with the WBC, you get to know all the WBC world champions, past and present. And I know there's something Floyd Mayweather always says. He says, the legendary champions of yesteryear paved the way for where he is today. And that's a very good statement to say, because Carlos Zarate did pave the way for Floyd Mayweather as well. Not just Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Robinson and Sugar Ray Leonard and all those other guys, but also guys like Ricardo Lopez, etc. Right? Now, in addition to that, I was watching another video that Floyd talked about with the WBC. Now, like he said, the WBC is the oldest organization. If you take into consideration that the WBC's roots come from the New York, the beginnings of the WBC come from the New York Boxing, I can't remember if it's Council. I think it's the New York Boxing Council or something like that, right? The NYC. This is where, that is what the WBC is, and it's the oldest now. I think the IBF is a little older, because I think the IBF came from the IBU, but the WBC is either the second oldest organization or it is the oldest existing organization today that's world recognized. I'm not too sure if the IBF, no, actually the IBF I think stemmed off of the WBA as well as the WBO. So no, actually the WBC is the oldest recognized organization. Now, it wasn't called the WBC at the time. It was called the NYC, right? So he's right again to say that the WBC, even though he's talking really about his time, that the most recognized organization he knew about was the WBC and the WBA. But the WBC is the oldest recognized organization in the world, if you take into consideration its original roots. It was in 1921 it came about. Then the NBA, now known as the WBA, came about. I did videos on that. You guys can go and check out those videos. But I wanted to share this video because when you guys are watching these videos, pay attention to all of the legendary boxers that are being referred to, and also all of the good boxers that are being referred to. Because Ellie and all of these other guys, they sneak you by with all these other legendary fighters that you're seeing. And if Floyd Mayweather uses a vehicle to highlight these legendary fighters, it's a pity that sometimes Ellie doesn't freeze it and do a little piece on them or something. So that's my job. My job is to just take it, enlarge it, let you guys know a little bit more, right? So Carlos Zarate, that's a serious name, and I want you guys to pay attention to him. He did some legendary things. He was a great fighter of his day in bantamweight. So I just wanted to pay tribute and homage to him in this video. You guys can go ahead and check out the rest of his record and also go and look up his fights. You guys have a great one.